A few years ago, some of my friends were to visit me at about 7 in the evening. But there was this one friend who landed up at 5. So I told him, bro, you sit. मैं church जाके आया because I had to attend mass. And he was like, मैं भी आ रहा हूँ. That was cool, come, let's go. And when we went for mass, he attended mass there. And the moment we stepped out of the church, he asked me a question. And the question was this: why do you stand and sit and then again stand and again sit and then stand and kneel and stand and sit? Why not just stand all the while, or why not just kneel all the while? If you've had this question, or if you now have this question, today is your lucky day. Stay tuned. Each of these gestures, whether standing, sitting, or kneeling, is infused with so much meaning that just understanding them would enhance the way we partake in the Eucharist. Let's first understand kneeling. The Avengers movie in 2012 has a scene where Loki is telling the people, kneel before me, and they don't kneel. And then he stomps his scepter on the ground and he shouts, I said kneel, and then they kneel. Even in Thor Ragnarok, Hela tells Thor and Loki, kneel before your queen. But they don't kneel. In fact, Thor says, not today. There's something about kneeling that we don't want to do. Kneeling is just not part of our culture. No one kneels unless they have to, or unless they are forced to, should I say. But in church is a sight to behold, because powerful men, influential women, everybody, you and me, we all kneel. And why? Look at the Romans and the Greeks. They didn't kneel before their gods. In fact, they said kneeling is unworthy of a free man. To kneel would make them servant-like, or would make them servile. And that's why they wouldn't kneel. And in fact, I'd agree with them, because I'd say their gods were not truly gods for them to kneel. You take a look at some of the Roman gods, say for example Mars, the god of battle and war. If you happen to be a disciple of Mars, then you would have to dedicate your life in search of the power that you would get through battle, through war. In fact, fighting would have to be second nature. Cupid, the god of pleasure and desire. If you were a disciple of Cupid, then you'd have to dedicate your life in search of pleasure. Saturn, the god of time and wealth. And anyone who would actually dedicate his life to Saturn would also have to dedicate his life to the creation of wealth. The Roman and Greek philosophers were right when they said that kneeling to these gods would be superstitious, or as Aristotle said, kneeling would be barbaric behavior. Augustine would agree with Aristotle, because Augustine said these gods, the Roman and the Greek gods, were actually rulers of men. Under these gods, men would dedicate their lives to the power of money, wealth, honor, and pleasure. Therefore, it was definitely wrong to kneel before these gods. Jesus, says Augustine, didn't come to rule or to conquer, but he came in love, and he came in humility. And this love and humility actually led Jesus to the cross. And on that cross, his love burnt, his body was broken, his blood was shed to actually free us from these rulers. At the Eucharist, when I kneel, I'm actually telling the Lord, Lord, I surrender my will to you, because he comes, the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings comes, and he doesn't demand that I kneel, but I kneel out of my own free will. I surrender out of my own free will, because I know that his will sets me free. The Jews believed that the strength of a person is in their knees, and therefore to bend one's knee was to bend their strength to the person they are kneeling to. When I am at the Eucharist, I actually bend my knee because I want to bend my strength to Jesus. Because I know I can do this and I can do that and I can do that. But I'm actually telling the Lord, Lord, apart from you, I do not want to do it. Even when Jesus prayed, he actually knelt and prayed, a sign of humility. Even my favorite posture of personal prayer is to kneel, because one, it helps me not to be distracted, but also helps me physically and mentally and emotionally tell the Lord, Lord, I'm surrendering all that I have to you. Okay, next, let's go to standing. The purpose of the standing posture at the Mass is actually twofold. The first being an active journey. The best example I can give you is of the Mumbai Indians match. I was at the stadium and all the people are cheering. There's about Rohit Sharma hits a 4 and everybody stands and cheers, and say Lasith Malinga takes a wicket and everybody stands and cheers. There's a reason the crowd is called the 12th man or the 12th player, is because they are journeying with this team. Similarly, at the Eucharist, when the entrance hymn is sung and the priest is entering, there begins my journey, there begins your journey into something that is so beautiful and so amazing. And once again, at the end begins another journey when the priest says, go forth in the peace of Christ. We are going forth in the power of the resurrection to go out there and to touch the lives of the people in the world. The second purpose of standing is to indicate respect, unity, and victory. The best example of this would be the national anthem. Every time the national anthem is sung, we stand with respect and honor. And also we stand in unity with all the Indians across the globe. In the same way, at the gospel, when the priest is reading the gospel, we stand in respect for the words of Christ. We stand in unity with not just the Catholics in the church, but we stand in unity with the Catholics across the globe. We also stand in unity with the angels and the choirs of heaven who were there praying with us. The early Christians believed that the standing was also a sign of victory that Christ earned for us at the cross. And therefore, when we stand at Mass, we also assume the role of being redeemed people of Christ. Thirdly, sitting. This is really simple. Sitting is the posture of attentive listening and meditation. Pope Benedict says that sitting is at the service of recollection, which actually means that we sit so that we may be able to hear the word proclaimed, so that we may be able to hear the word preached without any distractions, and this word which is proclaimed and preached may actually bear fruit in our lives. Okay, finally, why are these postures important? These postures are important because they help us to express on the outside what we actually believe on the inside. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, if you've learned something from this video, go ahead and share it with everyone. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until we see you again, take care and God bless.